I do need to move on here to our next story. And let's talk about other gross things and the continued redistricting push from the Trump administration, basically telling Indiana to get their butt in gear and steal the old guy a couple of extra seats in the House of Representatives in next year's election. So this week, Governor Mike Braun, floated a potential November special session for redistricting here in the Hoosier State. Speaking on Fort Wayne's WOWO, he said the state is, quote, in the process where we will evolve in that direction, and continued to emphasize, as he has in recent weeks, that he wants Hoosier legislative leaders to take the lead on the issue. Translation, I don't want to get blamed for this. So he says he wants it to be where it wasn't forced upon our legislature. Have our leaders talk to their own caucus members. Some have already changed their point of view when they look at what good comes from it. Now, he says, I think eventually we'll get there. And this is the key quote from this interview. He says, if we try to drag our feet as a state on it, probably we'll have consequences of not working with the Trump administration as tightly as we should. Tracie. This sounds like, number one, Braun's passing the buck. He's saying, I want the legislatures to
lead. You guys, you bring it to me.
Also, listen, if we don't roll over, we're gonna get shaken down by the Trump administration. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the most mealy mouth thing I've heard from a MAGA in a long time, and it's delightful because they're running into the same problem that all the Republican legislators are. They do not want this. And not because they don't want to deliver a few more seats to the Orange Cheeto. What they want is to protect their districts. And they know we've already been gerrymandered to the point where any further tampering, those Democrats have to go somewhere. So no matter how you redraw the lines, you cannot make safe gerrymandered districts anymore because it's already been gerrymandered so much. And again, I'm going to say this till I die. Indiana is more purple than people think. When you get down to the granular level, you look at county by county, by city, the vote counts are razor thin in so many places. And they are one toll road, one Medicaid cut, one bad choice away from this state going blue again. So I say again, bring it. And I'd feel bad for Braun if he wasn't such a piece of shit. So, you made your bed. Enjoy trying to navigate this nonsense.
Abdul, a lot of these guys are your average Indiana Republican legislators trying to come back for a special session in November.
No.
They don't want to work extra, do they?
Okay. Here's what's going on here. And I have a little bit of a different perspective than the other panelists because I kind of live this stuff every day. I was actually working on this a little bit earlier this morning for the show today. In a nutshell, here's what's going on. Trump wants redistricting because he wants to get a couple extra congressional seats. Okay, fine, whatever. But here's the problem with that. And first of all, the Speaker and Senator and Rod Bray, they have no appetite to do this whatsoever, period. None whatsoever. I know that for a fact. They have no appetite to be bothered with this. However, because of the position they're in, they got to sort of walk that public fine line. Number two, the Speaker told this recently to a group of, I want to say civil engineers that, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, here's a carrot on the stick. Here's what the Trump administration is doing. They're saying, look, you can do what we tell you. You can let us tell you what to do in a nutshell. So we need you to redraw the maps to give us, one to possibly two more extra congressional seats. By doing that, what the Trump administration is saying, hey, Indiana, you need some tolling authority for I-70? We got that for you. You need a Medicaid waiver here or there? We got that for you. You need Medicaid reimbursements for your rural hospitals? We got that for you too. And it'd be a shame if all that were to go away and disappear because you guys didn't redraw the map. So that's the one side of this whole thing. Now here's the other part. You start messing around at the 7th Congressional District, Andre Carson's seat. You basically take the 7th and you turn to like a giant spin wheel, which is one map that's kind of floating around out there. You will unleash
there on the graphic there.
Yeah, you will unleash so many Krakens that it is ridiculous. Because you have these because remember the vote totals in a lot of races really aren't that much. It's like 55, 45, 52, 48. A bunch of African American women older start coming out and voting, you can have some problems. And not only in the 7th Congressional District, but I would argue statewide. So you can literally see a situation where Elisa Shala, Dan Elliott, I forget the other person who's on the ballot next year, all that could possibly change, literally. So, Diego Morales, yeah, that's right. How can I forget Mr. Diego? So think about this: redistricting out there, Diego Morales at the top of the ticket, really?
Yeah. That's not exactly. Let's just say Diego's not the centerpiece of a statewide.
He's coming to my
race,
town.
So no, well, all right. So also in this regard, let's talk about the Democratic response. Again, Indiana Democrats are in a super minority. There's not a whole lot they can do to push back on this if Republicans decide to go ahead with it. They did hold a rally at the State House on Thursday and got a boost with a visit from Pete Buttigieg, who was in town to speak at the rally. Also visited Bloomington on Thursday night to give a student moderated talk hosted by the Union Board and LGBTQ Culture Center as part of its Speaking of Excellence series. I went. My date was Clif. Clif, do you have any thoughts from Buttigieg's lecture that night, or perhaps his speech earlier in the day at the State House?
Unfortunately, I was at Indiana University while he was talking at the State House, only to rush down to Indiana University, Bloomington, to see him speak later in the night. From everything that I've heard, he gave a great speech about redistricting, made a lot of good comments. Now my brain's blanking, but what we heard later in the night was it only takes somebody who's well spoken, who can reach across the aisles, and we change these voting, or we change the votes. Pete won in a very Republican area, and he won several times because he comes from a background that relates to the right, even though he is a gay man. Being a gay man in the military, well spoken, who can listen to somebody who tells him off and then still comes back and says, I'm going to help you, goes a long way.
He had a really good quote during the event Thursday night where he said, about growing up gay in Indiana. He says, I've never automatically felt that I was in harmony with my surroundings. And so, he had to learn how to navigate those dynamics, and that's resented to his benefit down the line here. He's really effective communicator, and he's especially good as far as Democrats go in speaking to the conservatives. Like he's great on Fox News.